Hello and welcome back. Here we are once again on our objective screen, so let's take a look. What are we doing? We will create a piece of pop art. How are we doing this? By using a free online program and talking about repetition. And why are we doing this? In order to talk about and learn about pop art and how it is influenced by culture. Also, we will talk about PA artist Andy Warhol. Let's go ahead and take a look at our objectives or project goals for today. So today, again, we're going to use the same program. We're going to open our file up and we're going to then start to add something called effects to our image. We'll save it. We'll then put it in our Google Drive and submit a screenshot. So let's go ahead and get right to it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up a new tab. In that new tab, we're going to go ahead and type in photopea.com. From there, we're not doing a new project. We are still working from our existing project. So open from computer. In our Google Drive file folder, we're going to find our current project and hit open. So this should have our color changes that we did in our last session. So this is what I expected to find. So this is perfect. I'm going to go down and click on my magnifying glass to fill it to my screen. And then I'm going to click on the select tool. Now over here in the palette, I will say that this history tab is wonderful, but it's taking up some space. So I am going to, I need my layers palette. Thought I could minimize that. I guess I can't. Okay, so we'll work with it with the space that we've got. I know in Photoshop we can. But okay, back down here, what we're going to do is we're going to apply effects to two things. One to the background and one to the image. And they can be different effects, but you want to have the same effect on all backgrounds and the same effect on all images. So let's start with a background first. If I click down here and I have this layer selected, I'm going to go down here to the bottom of the layers palette and it says EFF. These are layer styles. These are effects. Okay, so I'm going to click on EFF. Any of these choices you can play around with and see if you like. A couple of good ones for background. Pattern overlay is always fun. So I have this down here, this bottom center selected. The blend mode, I always, for most of our purposes, we're going to leave that as normal. And because if you don't, unexpected things will happen. So normal leaves it to be most normal and what you expect to see. So now you can, by all means, go ahead and play around with that. But pattern, you can click here and you can change anything you want. But if I click on this, it gives me a few other options. Kind of like the dots. There's like a little fate design there. Now, but the problem is, you see how when I click on these, it changes my color of my square. Okay, that square was pink. So if I keep this pattern, which I kind of like for pop art, and I really like the dots, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to my opacity and I'm going to bring that down. And so it becomes very faint background design with my color more prominent and important. So I kind of like the way that looks and it works with my project. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK to apply that to that layer. I could at the same time come over here on the left side and add another effect to this same area. So perhaps I want to do an inner glow. So I'm going to put a check mark in front of it and then click on the word inner glow. And it will bring up the inner glow here in the center, all of the things I can change. So again, I'm going to change this to normal. I'm going to choose a color. It's on my pink background. So maybe I'll choose another color that's already in my composition. Okay, I like that one. And it doesn't look like anything happened. There's a little tiny blue line around the edge. So I'm going to adjust the size of that blue line up. And that looks really nice. Another one that's really nice for backgrounds. I can adjust the opacity and make it real light and faint or stronger. And the noise makes it more pixelated and blocky. Okay. And the spread brings it closer to the middle. And brings it in further. Okay. So you can kind of adjust and see what you want to play around with there. Okay, so I'm going to do something like that. And then I'm going to go over here and show you bevel. Put a check mark in front of it, click on the words. All right, now this is going to make it look somewhat three-dimensional. So I can do, there's all these different types. outer bevel would put it outside of the selected area, so that's not going to help us. Inner bevel will be good. Emboss, I think, is okay. Pillow emboss doesn't really help us with this, but it will on the image. And the stroke emboss gives it a line around the edge, if I'm correct. Okay, so I'm going to go with just the inner bevel because I think it makes it look three-dimensional, and that's all I really need. I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger, and the edges are going to be super soft. Just want it to ease and round up. And I could make it a little deeper, and that gives me a higher shadow and highlight. Okay, and again, the rest of that looks pretty good. I'm not going to mess with too much, and I'll click OK. So that is my background, and I could keep that. I could simplify that. I could whatever I want to do. To edit that, I'm going to come over here to the palette. Here's the pink background layer, and the effect is kind of hidden over here to the right. So if I click on that arrow, it brings the effect up here. I can then hide. Maybe I don't want that inner glow anymore. Maybe it's just too much for my project, so I'm going to hide that. Or maybe I don't want the pattern overlay and I just want the bevel. Okay, I kind of like the pattern overlay, so I'm going to keep that one. Maybe the bevel is too much, so I'll take the bevel off. And you can adjust and figure out what you really do like. Okay, so I'm going to go with, I think, that for my project. Okay, for the backgrounds at least. So what I'm going to do is over here on the down arrow for effect, I'm going to go right click on it. It's going to open up a flyout window. I'm going to go to copy that effect. Then I'm going to find my other background layer, and I'm going to right click, layer style, paste. Find my other background, right click, layer style, and click paste. And I'm going to do this with all of the backgrounds. Okay, so I still need this yellow one. Right click, layer style, paste, and the orange one. Right click, layer style, paste. And I gotta find my green background yet. Right click, layer style, and paste. So now I have these like crazy dotted background in all of these images. Little bit distracting to my image. I want my image to be the most important. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we can do to pull that back into importance in the overall composition. So right here is my Pepsi design. I'm going to go back here to effect, and maybe this time I'm going to do an outer glow on that. All right, so I am working on this one in the top right, so I want to be able to see it. So there's a little bit of this white haze that you can see right now on that. I'm going to go back to my blend mode, change it to normal. I'm going to go to my color, and this time I'm going to choose, I think, something a little different. I'm going to choose a dark black, maybe a gray. No, we'll see if I get black works or if I need a color in there. Okay, so I have my color, and then all I'm going to do is come into my size and blow that size up a little bit. Spread it out just a little bit. And I can make it just, there we go. And make it a little opaque, give it a little bit of transparency so it's not quite so opaque. And I'm going to click OK. And I could do other things to this as well. So I did mention I would show you this bevel emboss and a pillow emboss. And it will actually make it look like it's recessed on both sides. So the image is beveled and the outside background is beveled. And actually I kind of like the way that looks. And it really it forces, or again, puts the focus back on the object, and I think I'm going to keep that. All right, so that is my next step. So I'm going to go ahead now that I have that effect. Again, I'm going to right click, layer style, copy, and then I will go to each of my images, layer style, paste, click layer style, paste. Paste it, and I'm pasting this effect so I have consistency and unity in my piece by doing this. Paste. And then we have pretty much an amazing project. I really like how this turned out. I think it looks perfect. So at that point, that's all we have for the goal, was to add the effect of the image and background. We kept it consistent. We kept the focus on our object. So I think we were pretty successful here. If you run into any problems or have any questions, please go back and rewatch the video and make sure you're doing each step correctly. After that, if you still can't figure out what's going on, please email me or reach out to me and ask for help. If you have any questions, again, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and at this point, I will do my normal steps of saving. So first I'm going to do my screenshot here. Make sure that I have my program, my canvas, and my layers palette part of that screenshot. And then I'm going to go File, Save as a PDF, PSD. Just be sure to make sure that PSD document is saved properly in your folder, your digital art folder on your computer. I hope that was helpful. Again, if you have any trouble with this part of the project, please reach out and let me know.